fervently from your heart. God provides a shield of faith to enable you to extinguish all of Satan's fiery darts, every one of them. The shield of faith is provided by God to help us so we don't get discouraged or have these bad things in our life. Ephesians 6:16, above all, taking the shield of faith, with which you will be able to quench, to extinguish all the fiery darts of the wicked one. Now this tells us that the shield is available to us. It's there, but we must take it. We must use it. What good is a shield sitting on the shelf? What good is it just mentioned in the Bible? We've got to appropriate it in our life. If we don't, we give Satan an advantage against us. Ephesians 4:27, do not give the devil a foothold. When you don't use the shield of faith, Satan gets a strong foothold on you, and you get very angry, you get very discouraged, you get very sinful, you get full of pride, some dart that he's shooting at you. It gets you. So the shield of faith and love work together. The love of God that's poured in our heart and the faith that Jesus Christ gives us. Every person born has a measure of faith. And God says, I want you to develop this faith stronger and stronger. I want you to use love, my love that I've poured into your heart. You start believing me. You don't believe the fiery lies of the devil. The devil is lying to you. These fiery darts are lies that he tells you to get you stirred up, to pull you away from God, to get you discouraged. And he says, use this shield of faith. Love and faith work together to quench the fiery darts of Satan. Galatians 5:6. What is important is faith expressing itself in love. When you have the love of God, something happens, one of Satan's darts is shooting at you. You say, wait a minute. God, I know you love me. Satan's lying to me. You are here. God, I might not feel you now, but your word says you're all around me. Your word says you're in my heart. God, you haven't left me. I may feel like you have, but Lord, that's a lie from Satan. That's a fiery dart. You're here. I know you're here. God, I've got faith in you. I need you to help me. God, I'm under attack. God, help me. And you're using faith that God says in his word, and you're holding up your shield of faith, and Satan can't get you because the word of God is stronger, and the love of God that he's poured in your heart is stronger, and Satan is defeated through you applying faith and love to the situation. So this verse in Galatians 5:16 says that faith uses love to enable us to overcome Satan. The faith that's in your heart, Jesus is the author of faith. He's the one that helps develop it in us. And he says that this faith gets stronger when we have love. And I said before, do you really love the brothers and the sisters? When bad things happen to you, somebody's rude to you or something, do you look at someone and realize, wait a minute, I'm not perfect. This dear brother, this sister, they're not perfect. They're being rude. And you have forgiveness for them. You have love for them, and you pray for them. That is using the shield of faith. Satan is trying to get you to hate them. He's trying to get you to be angry. He's trying to get you to get revenge. And you're saying, no, Satan, get behind me. I'm going to love. I'm going to have faith. I'm going to trust you. I'm going to pray for that person. And so when you have a loving heart toward God and toward other Christians, you have the power you need to use the shield of faith to defeat Satan's frequent fiery darts. Love controls your reaction. It controls your reaction to life situations, to life difficulties. And you are calm instead of letting the fiery dart of Satan destroy you. My father was not a Christian man. He had residual anger in him constantly. He went through life a very angry man. Anything that happened, he would use the name of the Lord in a blasphemous way, swearing at God. And I grew up with that. God says, don't hang around with an angry man, you'll become like him. I've spent my life trying to undo what my father did to me. Maybe you didn't come from a home where you were taught Christian values and ethics. You can overcome it with the love of God, with the Word of God, with the faith and with the power of God. You can become a different person because God comes to live in your heart when you become a Christian. And he changes you into the image of Jesus Christ. Today we want to look at Satan's fiery dart of depression. The first person in the Bible who got depressed was Cain, Adam's firstborn. Genesis chapter 4, verse 6. So the Lord said to Cain, why are you angry? And why has your countenance fallen? When you ask, why is your countenance fallen? In the Hebrew language, according to the scholars, they say it means, the way you would say it in a general way is, why is your chin dragging the ground? In other words, your expression is down. You just looking at the person, you know they're very, very, very depressed. Verse 7, God said, if, and here's an if clause, if you do well. Now, you've got a free will. You can choose what you're going to do here. If you do well, in other words, if you do what I've told you to do, will you not be accepted? Of course you will. And if you do not well, sin lies at the door of your heart. And its desire is for you. And you should rule over it. Sin has its own power, its own life. It's at the door of your heart, trying to control you. Jesus Christ in the book of the Revelation said, chapter 3, verse 10, I stand at the door of your heart and I knock. You must open the door and I'll come into you. You've got a free will. You've got to open the door. He doesn't have a battering ram to knock into your heart. You've got to have a willingness to follow the Lord, to love him, to change, to agree with him about the truth. And he says you should rule over it. You can use his power to do so. You don't have your own power. You've got to use the truth of God and love. Satan shot two fiery darts at Cain. First, anger, and then discouragement. Instead of using love and obeying God and bringing a blood sacrifice, Cain gave in to anger. He had a brother, Abel. The both men knew that God wanted a blood sacrifice. They learned that from the Garden of Eden, when God killed the first two animals to make coats of skin for Adam and Eve because they were naked. And when they sinned, they became aware that they were naked. And God says, you need to cover up. This isn't going to work. And he made coats of skin for them. And he tells us how to dress, that we ought to dress appropriately. And so God killed the first animals, and it doesn't say it in the Bible, but we understand it from this passage, that he told them how to worship me, how to worship him. You put them on an altar, you sacrifice them through a burnt offering, you shed their blood. Hebrews 9:22, God says, without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness. Why? Because God is the only one who can decide what will forgive sin, what will cleanse sin from the human heart. Sin is in all of us. All of us have done wrong things.